96.3 FM, The Source.
You know, next door to the sandwich shop we had lunch at yesterday, there was a cigar shop.
Uh-huh.
And they were advertising on the window IPA. And then I said to you, wait a minute, is that the same thing that we have the book about, IPA? India Pale Ale.
Yeah.
I had no idea. Is this a new thing?
I think
There's a whole book about it. Brewing Eclectic IPA.
Yeah.
Pushing the boundaries of India Pale Ale. All right, well, I know where to get it. Right across the street. I'll get a cigar while I'm in there, too.
There you go.
Dick Cantwell is on the phone. He's going to help me understand this. I'm learning something here, Robin.
Yeah.
Dick Cantwell is a renowned brewer, a 3-time winner of the Brew Pub of the Year Award at the Great American Beer Festival. Robin, you're from Milwaukee.
Yep.
You ever hear of this IPA?
I've never heard of it, but
India Pale Ale. Let's find out
doesn't
from
mean it doesn't exist.
Dick Cantwell. Good morning, Dick. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing well. Sounds like I've got my work cut out for me.
You do. I never heard of this before. What is this? Am I just like, because I'm not really a beer drinker, so is this everywhere and I'm just not aware of it?
Well, India Pale Ale is a style that arose in the 18th and 19th century, actually. The reason it's called that is because it was brewed in Britain for shipment over to the Indian subcontinent. So these needed to be beers that were very strong and very hoppy because those alcohol and hops are natural preservatives. So it's been around for a good long time.
Okay.
But IPA is a style that was embraced by American craft brewers as they got started as a way to show off and make flavorful beers for their customers.
So does the Budweiser drinker, for example, not to name a brand name, but I mean, does the store brand beer drinker like it automatically? Is it an acquired taste? What is it?
It's a bit of an acquired taste because it's fairly aggressively hoppy. It's very bitter compared to some of the industrial beers produced in this country. It's really bold. It's even an affront. I don't think those two worlds really overlap all that much.
Do you know, I don't know if this is going to sound dumb. It'll definitely sound ignorant or naive on my part, because I am both ignorant and naive. But the every time we have a contest in our town for the most popular restaurant, the Indian restaurant is always at the top of the list. So this is where my ignorance is going to show. Would this beer be served in that restaurant?
It might very well be, and actually, I think you've alluded to a connection between these things that isn't ignorant at all. I mean, this is the kind of thing the book is about, is tying flavors together.
Okay.
Some of those bold flavors of Indian cooking and some of the bold flavors of a beer like this, they do go well together.
Oh, okay. Well, then that might explain why it's being sold, because the Indian restaurant is only like a block away from the cigar shop I was talking about. That might be why.
When a person goes to a restaurant and they have a listing of craft beer, is this particular craft beer on the listing?
Absolutely. These days, India Pale Ale, IPA, is the most popular. It's the dominant style for craft brewers these days.
And you have different, you have a whole range of ingredients that this could go from coffee to fruits to even vegetables.
That's right. I think in the last few decades, the hop growers in this country and others have come out with really boldly flavored hops that are evocative of fruit and spice and that kind of thing. And I think it's not that much of a leap to start using some of those actual ingredients in them. There are hops that taste like grapefruit, so they would go with grapefruit. There are hops that have citrus or piney kinds of flavors to them, so you might want to use other citrus fruits, or maybe rosemary or juniper or spruce tips or something like that. It just sort of it just calls out for that kind of linkage.
You hear about wine pairings. Can you have beer pairings also?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, I think beer is more versatile than wine with food. I mean, the variety of beers that are being produced. Also, the processes of brewing are more similar to the processes of cooking. So I think there are a lot more natural tie-ins there than there are with wine.
So tell me about the craft brewing phenomenon. Is this something people are doing in their homes? Is the book for me? Like, could I take the book and buy whatever I need to buy and start doing this in my garage?
Well, I would say you'd probably need to start with a more basic brewing tech. You know, this does have a lot of recipes in it, but it does presume a certain amount of knowledge on the part of people who are going to be brewing these beers.
Okay.
But I also think this book is something for the general reader, you know, because it's about the flavor combinations of brewing and of cooking, and it's also about the nature of inspiration, just where anybody who does a creative sort of cooking or brewing pursuit like this gets their ideas.
And since you have run a number of breweries, have you made any kind of improvements that the larger beer companies have claimed as their own?
Well, yes, I think so. I mean, you know, the larger beer companies do what they do very well, you know, making the styles of beers that they believe most Americans want to drink, and that's, you know, it's largely true. But I think craft breweries are in a position to cultivate a more rarefied customer and to bring out things that they hope are important to those customers, like independence, you know, like the size, like the fact that the person who comes into a brew pub, you know, maybe knows the person who brews the beer. These are important things for craft.
All right. Again, this is going to show my ignorance. I've always heard, I've heard a few times, not always, but I've heard a few times that some countries in Europe, and I don't know if I know India's not Europe, but it's influenced by Europe, like their beer room temperature. Is this one of them, or is it just depending on your taste?
No, it's not exactly room temperature. I mean, traditional British beer, for example, is served at what's called cellar temperature. You know, if you're used to drinking beer near freezing, it might seem like room temperature, but it's really more like 50 degrees. It's the temperature that you walk into when you go down into the basement. You know, it keeps it cool, but not cold. Okay,
and is that typically what I'm hearing when I hear people say they don't like it cold? They like it like 50 degrees?
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's really what they mean, I think.
And how long does it take to brew your own personal craft beer? We have different shops in our area where you go in there and then you can put different spices and things together and then come back in X amount of days or weeks, and then you've got your own beer.
Sure. I mean, a craft brewery can produce an ale in about 2 weeks. Oh. If you're brewing at home, you don't have the advantage of a pressurized tank and that kind of stuff. So in order to have carbonation in your beer, you have to use other methods. But at home, sort of rule of thumb, it takes about a month for it to be ready.
Okay, so I want to I'm just going to go fishing right now and see if we have anybody out there that's a brewery. Because I know we have a few in town, right?
Yeah.
So if you're listening and you'd like the book, I think you might like it. Brewing Eclectic IPA. Call me. I have one copy. I can give it away. Pushing the Boundaries of India Pale Ale. So the word eclectic, I want to focus on that just for a second. That implies in my mind that whatever you think is India Pale Ale isn't exactly right, because it can come in many different flavors, right?
Yeah, you got it. I mentioned those hop varieties that combine well with some of these other ingredients that I treat in the book. But the idea is that there are, you know, a million different possibilities, things that go well together, things that contrast with each other that still have a good effect. So yeah, it's about being all over the board, but still being mindful and considerate and artistic and scientific about putting it all together.
Looks like you're doing pretty good on Amazon. You're number 75 in the beer category. There's millions of books on Amazon. That's pretty good. All right, so do you recommend Amazon? Do you have a website you want to send us to?
Well, sure. Amazon is a good place to start. I generally prefer to use, you know, like smaller independent bookstores like Powell's in Portland, or here in Seattle where I am right now, Elliott Bay. But the Brewers Publications website would have more information about the book and about other interesting beer books as well. That's our trade organization.
Okay, brewerspublications.com, right? Yeah, I found it. Okay, yeah, there it is. Oh, right, all right. It's the very first thing on the website. Brewing Eclectic IPA, now available. Well, this is a topic we've never talked about, Dick. Thank you for bringing it to the show. Good luck with everything, and I'm going to find somebody in town to ask about this and go across the street.
I'm sure you will.
Yeah.
Good. Well, thanks very much.
Thank you, sir. We will take a little break and be right back. This is The Source, WOCA.
Attention WOCA listeners. Do you or someone you know have an outgoing personality with great organizational skills? Well, WOCA is looking for a few good people to join our marketing reps team. You get to meet other great people and business leaders in our community. WOCA Radio offers flexible schedules, great income potential, and some really great fringe benefits, too. So if you enjoy talking to people and getting paid to do it, this may be the right choice for you. Apply within or send your resumes to careers@woca.com.